Welcome to Will and Mark's Healthy Sports Obsession. I'm Will Huebner here with Mark Mashashik. We are two doctors of physical therapy, and we are here to answer your PT questions as well as give our take on current sporting events from a health perspective. As always, send your questions to willandmarkshso@gmail.com, and we will answer them on the show. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. I'm Will Huebner here with Mark Mashashik. Today we're going to be going over the World Series. We're going to talk about just some general updates in general over the players we've been kind of comparing over the last few episodes. We've got a lot of patient questions or viewer questions to come through.
We're getting a ton of questions, so we're letting that direct some of the content here.
And then we have a special guest tonight. We have my other brother, Matt Huebner, Dr. Matt Huebner. He's a hair transplant surgeon, so we're going to be talking a lot about hair tonight.
Yeah, full family of doctors.
Yeah. And especially important to Mark here, who is a
card-carrying member of the
that's right, the bald community. All right, so let's start off. World Series, you predicted it right. 7 games, Nationals would win. I said Astros in 5, said maybe 6.
Thank God. I mean, Nats got it done. Go Nats. Happy to, still a diehard Red Sox fan, but happy to be living in a D.C. when they pull in their World Series championship.
I was shocked Game 7 that Max even went out there and pitched. You know, they were talking, he was supposed to pitch Game 5. Joe Ross ended up pitching. They were saying he couldn't get out of bed. And then 2 days later ends up pitching in.
Yeah, well, we were saying, you know, cortisone obviously clears a lot of stuff up, but I think he probably got a lot of good physical therapy in there.
Physical therapy, chiropractor. I'm sure he got anything and everything to get him better. I'm sure he was feeling pretty good going into the game.
Go Max, go Nats, exciting. Can they do it again next year?
Right. So now they're figuring out all these off-season pieces. So let's go over a few of them just kind of quick. Where do you think Rendon ends up? Does he stay with the Nationals? Does he go to Texas is another big place he's thinking about going?
I'd go 75-25 on this one because he's just
75 that he's staying?
Staying.
Okay.
I hope he doesn't ask for Harper's contract. I mean, not that he doesn't deserve it, but it's just not a viable contract to keep winning. And it's a tough one in that I think he might. The fact that they won might convince him to stay, but at the same time, it's like we're having to pay these major contracts right when they're peaking too. So it's like Strasburger and Rendon coming off both their best seasons. It's like this is the worst time to have to negotiate contracts with these guys. But I think that the fact that the team works so well together makes it more likely that they'll want to sign.
See, I always think that if you come so close, so if they got to the World Series, say they lost in Game 7, like guys like Rendon, Strasburg, it's like an extra reason to stay. Like, all right, give me another 1-year contract or 2-year contract. Let's get this thing done. Now that you've won, Rendon's won it all. Hey, why don't I go back home? I've already accomplished what I need to accomplish in Washington. The Nats are going to go after him hard.
If they sign one of them, we'll have them come on the pod and ask him because I bet they're going to say, it's just so much fun. If they do sign, I bet one of the reasons it's so much fun to play on this team right now. It must have just been such a fun and exciting experience for them. I think. Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
so, what do you think? Rendon, yes or no?
I'm gonna say. I'll say yes. I think he really likes Washington. I think part of him does want to go back home, but I mean, he's the man here. I think he's got all the players want him, all the fans want him. I think he's a Washington guy now. I know he's a player in the clubhouse that everybody loves. I think he's gonna get paid whatever he wants. When we were talking football, we're always talking running backs aren't worthy of a contract as big as quarterbacks, things like that. There's different value at different positions. What do you think about like an outfielder like Bryce and Trout getting paid $300, $400 million compared to other guys are getting paid a little bit less? Manny got up there as a third baseman. But Rendon, is he a guy that's worth $400 million, or is an infielder less valuable than an outfielder? Is an outfielder, how does that compare in baseball? You think it matters?
I would say positionally, infield, outfield is probably the same.
I would think pitchers matter more than anybody.
They do, but the problem paying pitchers is pitchers get hurt way more often. So now you've got a big investment, and it's a riskier investment. But right, pitching wins in baseball. We know that. You got a guy who's affecting 9 innings of the game as opposed to 4 at bats. It's a bigger deal. But what about Strasburg? Do you think Strasburg gets signed? He declined his
option, right?
Yep.
I think he does get re-signed, but I think he's getting more money. I think it was smart on his part. If he doesn't, if the Nats say, we just don't have enough money to be paying all these guys, right? If we're giving Rendon this huge contract, we're giving Scherzer already has this huge contract. Now you're asking for more money. Maybe there's just not enough.
Well, I think some of the knocks on management or ownership within the team has been they have been shy on the luxury tax and not really that interested in paying a luxury tax. But I hope what goes into that right now is the fact that, it's here, it's hot. They can make money on this right now because the team's so good that maybe we don't always need to pay into luxury tax, but this one time it's going to be worth it because there's so much revenue to be made off a team that's World Series contending for years to come.
Yeah, I mean, you made up a good point earlier. We were talking about this. You were saying, it's actually not that great for the Nats in the sense of all these guys just played their absolute best, and they're at their peak right now, and a lot of them are becoming free agents. So now you've got all these guys. You're basically buying high on all these guys, and they're all going to get paid a good amount. Zimmerman, the Nats declined Zimmerman's option, Matt Adams' option. Who was the other guy? Ian Gomes?
Yeah.
So they might actually be able to get some of those players back at a little lesser price. I don't see Zimmerman, many teams taking a shot at Zimmerman. He's a national. He's always been a national.
I would say he falls in the same category. I think if everything looks good, he'll want to be back on a 1-year deal for a couple million,
Yeah, I just don't see him going anywhere else. Garrett Cole. So there's been a lot of controversy about Garrett Cole. He was apparently, it's all based on media, so who knows how true it is. He was upset that in Game 7, he was not put in the game. He was ready to go, short rest, wasn't put in the game. The bullpen ended up blowing it for, I think it was Will Harris ended up blowing it for the Astros.
Where do you think Cole ends up?
He already said, he's basically, I'm not a member of the Astros anymore. I'm a free agent, like in his post-game conference. So he definitely seems like he wants out of Houston. I think he ends up a New York Yankee.
Of course.
Yeah, I think they're going to pay him whatever he wants.
They need him, and the Yankees will always pay.
Right.
Those are the big ones.
Those are the big ones. So let's go to just some updates, right? Like we've been arguing about a bunch of people. I think early on, before the season started, it was Hayden Hurst versus Andrews. I quickly lost that one.
It's right, like it's already dead, right?
It's already dead. But to be fair, it all goes back to their rookie years. Hurst and Andrews in the same class. Hurst was hurt. Andrews gets all the reps with Lamar, builds that chemistry. I think it could be. I think they're similar enough to where you can argue that the players' talent is similar. But I think just in the system and kind of how it's shaken out, Hurst just doesn't get the opportunities Andrews does, and Andrews taking advantage of all the opportunities he has.
I don't watch the Ravens as much as you do, so you can answer this better. But my draft knowledge may have given me an advantage here in that I knew Andrews was going to look good because he's the receiving guy,
right?
And Hurst is not a receiving guy. You just don't get credit as a blocking tight end. I don't know how Hurst may be playing well. He's just not showing fantasy numbers that we all think that makes the best player,
right.
But it's not necessarily true. I did see Andrews have a couple awful drops too, though. He seems to be
Last
really
game, before the Patriots.
I just remember like a couple
three of them 2 games ago.
He's really good at getting open, but
he's been good though. He's solid.
He's got like Nick Boyle hands sometimes.
Speaking of Nick Boyle, you don't watch a lot of Ravens games. Mm-hmm. You watch a lot of Patriots games.
I'm a red zone guy.
I'm not sure if you're familiar, but the Ravens did just destroy the Patriots last night.
Yeah, that's true. But in my defense, I wouldn't take that bet against you, and I was biting my lip hard. I was actually offered to take the Ravens plus points to you.
Yeah.
You didn't get that? Yeah, I'm just a smart bettor. I just know the Patriots haven't played anyone good. Belichick always plans in a couple losses because he needs that dirt in his face. He's got to throw the dirt in Tom Brady's face or Brady doesn't get the extra oomph at the end. By the way, he's looking like he's maybe getting too old out there. I think Tom would like to hear some of this ammunition. He's looking like he can't hack it anymore, Tom. Listen to me.
He's still having fun. I mean, the Ravens knocked him down. Ed Reed, crazy stat, was watching the game last night. Not Ed Reed, sorry. Ed Reed was at the game, but Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas got a big hit on Brady. Uh-huh. They said Earl Thomas has never recorded a sack.
Wow.
Hard to believe, right?
Very hard to believe.
Yeah. So he almost got one. He almost got one last night, hit Tom Brady. Tom Brady gets up. Earl Thomas looks at him. They give each other high fives.
I like that.
Going. And then Tom Brady tweets or Instagrams, whatever you do these days, at Lamar and says something like, great game, way to go, something like that. And Lamar writes back, just goat. I think it might have even been a picture of a goat. So I think he's still having a lot of fun.
Much respect. No, he's definitely having a lot of fun. I'm just saying he plays a lot better when you say he can't do it. So I don't know. I'm not saying that he looked old, but maybe he's looking a little old. Maybe Tom just needs a little dirt in his face, and that gets the team on track.
Most exciting thing I felt as a Ravens fan last night was that, so one, they couldn't stop the run, right? It's really hard to stop Lamar. I figured Belichick would have all these spies in place, everything so Lamar couldn't run. They had no answer for Lamar. Ingram was going off. No answer for any run game. Then they started doing single coverage and really trying to stop the run. Mm-hmm. Had a little bit of success with that. But the Ravens decided that they did not want, I don't think they wanted Lamar to just throw bombs to Marquise Brown. They wanted to dominate the time of possession, keep Tom Brady off the field, make that defense tired, and it worked. I don't think they wanted huge chunk plays. I think they wanted to just get 5 to 10 yards at a time and just take the ball out of people's hands.
I mean, Lamar does look magical out there. He just looks like he can't really be stopped if he is going to do it. I think we've seen that with only one other player in that style, and that would be Michael Vick. The problems with Michael Vick, with any freak great athlete like this playing the quarterback position, is yes, when they're on, they're unstoppable, but they take a lot of hits, and those add up over the season. So we're going to have to watch Lamar's health close.
That is one thing Lamar has. He takes hits. A lot of times, so he won't get out of bounds. He'll get an extra couple yards. I think it's going to catch up to him at some point.
It 100% will catch up to him.
Yeah. Let's go over Baker and Trubisky's a big one, right?
We both are hard in our corners on Baker versus Trubisky, and we're both
having either one is a bad choice at this point.
I'll defend mine. Baker, I would say, we could still at least blame Freddie Kitchens here.
You've given Baker Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Nick Chubb, all these
stars.
They have
superstars,
stud power, and they cannot beat a Flacco-less Broncos. With Flacco, the Broncos are bad. Without Flacco, I don't even know their quarterback. Young.
He's another
Allen.
Allen, yeah, another. It's a third Allen we have now playing NFL quarterback.
And you're telling me the Browns can't win that game?
Yeah, they didn't. But you're pressing the fire on me here. Mr. Trubisky, he's got all the weapons in the world too.
What are his weapons?
Tariq Cohen, David Montgomery, Allen Robinson.
Okay.
Who's the tight end?
Trae
Burton.
Yeah, so they got a ton of stud power there. Allen Robinson, that's your number one? He's not a number one on any other team.
Allen Robinson had 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns with Blake Bortles.
Okay.
Bortles got it done to Robinson.
I think the talent level around Trubisky is not the same. Also, the play design isn't the same. The Bears
have Matt Nagy off the Andy Reid tree. This is a great offensive coordinator. Baker's got Freddie Kitchens. What tree is he off of? No one even knows. Like I said, he looks like he's a forklift driver playing coach. Maybe it's a weird experiment, and he doesn't have any NFL experience at all.
I don't know.
We're both wrong.
We're both wrong right now.
Stay in your corner, though. We're not. This isn't.
I think our bet though was that Trubisky, the Bears would have. I forget what to look back. 1 or 2 more wins than
from the point that we set it at. I think we're even on that right now.
Well, they're both losing every game.
Right.
Yeah. And then the more recent one was Luka versus Trae Young.
And I'm bummed, actually, that Trae Young got hurt. Because I'm the Luka guy. You're the Trae Young guy. And I think Luka's playing, so does mine. I wish Trae didn't get hurt so we could have more of this conversation.
Well, our thing was 5 years from now, 2024.
Of course. But I'm looking forward to duking this out with you for the next 5 years.
I thought, so Luka's putting up monster numbers this year. He had 12 assists last night, triple-double, 12 assists last night, 4 turnovers. I love Luka. I think the issue is when it becomes, I think he's just sloppy with the ball. And it's something that you can correct. But, for example, I was watching the first game they played with the Wizards. And towards the end of the game, Bradley Beal got on him. The Wizards were going on a run, and Bradley Beal just decided, I don't know if you've ever played basketball. This has happened to me quite a few times. When a defender on you realizes, right away, they've got an advantage on you. They're either quicker than you, they know they can take the ball.
Yep.
So, in high school, our team was, all 6-footers. So I ended up playing point guard. Not the quickest guy. I can handle the ball a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I remember there's a game against, Joppatown. They had this really good point guard, much smaller than me. I think 5'10". But he was so quick that I knew if I tried to dribble up the court on him, he would take it from me. So the first 3 possessions of the game, stole it, put it for a layup. So I was literally having to back him down full court all the way down.
Full court back down.
I feel like when I saw Bradley Beal get in the face of he just put pressure defense on him,
mm-hmm.
Luka turned it over a couple times. I think when Luka gets Kawhi's just gonna destroy him. Any defender is going to quickly realize, he's sloppy with the ball. I can take it from him.
Well, Trae Young had the bad ankle sprain, so there's not much I can knock on him right now. But we know
he was having monster numbers too.
He was on offense like he usually does. But my knock on him is he can't play defense. I think
we've seen it. Yeah.
I
haven't seen any Hawks games other than his highlights.
At his size too, what is his ceiling for potential to be able to play defense? How tall is he? 6 foot?
6, maybe 6'1".
Yeah, so a better short defender like Steph is still average
at defense.
At defense, yeah.
Steph's still a top maybe not right now because he's hurt.
And
Like
he's
a top 10 player in the NBA.
And he's 6'3". I'm happy we're gonna have this argument because I think I'm gonna win it.
The Luka thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you're basically saying that because of Luka's size, he's a better basketball player than Trae Young. That's your argument right now.
And I think for ceiling on being able to play, yeah.
Okay. Comment. Who do you think? Luka, Trae Young?
Trae Young.
They're both going to be studs.
Who has
I'm
a higher
confident
chance of
there's
winning an MVP someday? I think they both could be. I think we could be watching this in 5 years. They could be the two best players in the league.
I mean, they're on our 2024 list.
Of course.
Luka's up there with me. Well, I would have him on
I don't
there.
know.
He's a reserve.
You don't have to be nice about it. I love Trae Young too. I like Luka.
All right, so we got a ton of
The questions are piling up. We got to catch up with these.
So let's go through them. First one. What question we got?
I go that late 90s Toronto Raptors where they had the red ugly dinosaur on it.
That was with Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter.
Tracy McGrady, I forgot. Yes.
That's a good one. I think it could be a current one. The Seahawks yellow highlighter jerseys that they still wear.
Yeah, some people hate it. I actually kind of like them. I don't know. It's weird.
Can't stand 'em.
I would say the Miami Marlins M on their hat is really ugly. Like it's like 4 different colors and it's really misshapen. I go right through all of Florida. The Tampa Devil Ray, before they were the Rays, the Devil Rays, when they had literally a black Devil Ray, this big lump on their hat. It's ugly. They've gotten better. The standard TB purple's better. And then I'll keep going through Florida. The old Buccaneers uniform was the ugliest thing ever.
That's pretty bad.
With the old, I guess he was a Buccaneer. He looked like one of the Three Musketeers, and the 1970s ugly orange carpet color. And then I think their new ones are ugly too. With the flag facing like forward at an angle on the side of the helmet, it looks misshapen.
Are the Tampa Bay, we'll say back when they were the Devil Rays,
Yeah.
the worst sports team ever? Like just organization, like consistently awful. Now that they're the Rays, they're a little bit better.
Well, they played better.
Everything about them was awful.
Whenever they play the Red Sox, the stadium is just filled with Red Sox fans.
Who was the best? Did they have Jose Canseco, like a really old Jose Canseco at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was. They've had good third baseman Evan Longoria, probably the best Ray ever, right? He's a good player. But I would say, as far as the question goes, basically the entire state of Florida has the ugliest
What
uniforms.
was that one we were watching? It was was it the Chicago White Sox? They're wearing shorts out there.
Oh, yeah, that was an old one. Oh, how about when Chris Sale cut up his jersey because he refused to wear the throwback jersey with the White Sox? Do you remember that?
Oh, so
He said it was limiting. He's got the big albatross arms. He said the shirt limited it, and he just cut it up before the game. He was refusing to wear it. That's pretty bad. I would say Payne Stewart's golf gear was pretty bad back in the day too. I don't know if you remember him.
We should have looked at more golfers.
Who's it? The big guy? John Daly had some funny ones too.
Yeah, his worst uniform is shirtless, hitting balls off beer cans.
There's a different look for everybody.
All right, let's go to sport you wish would catch on in the U.S.
Okay.
What do you got?
Chess boxing.
Okay,
Do you know
explain
what?
it?
So you go round by round. You play. There are 3-minute rounds. You do a round of chess and then a round of boxing. 3 minutes each. Whichever one ends first, you win. So if you win the game of chess, it's over. You stop boxing. If you knock the guy out in boxing, it's over. The ethics of concussions and stuff like that, I don't know if it'd be the best thing to catch on. But it's kind of interesting to see putting the endurance of the physicality against the endurance of the mentality. I like the combination. I looked up a few, and I saw this game called Sepak Takraw played in Southeast Asia, and it looks like it's like volleyball, soccer over a net, and these guys are doing backflips, kicking the ball back and forth. That looked pretty cool.
That does sound cool.
And then just ultimate frisbee. How come we don't have like legitimate professional ultimate frisbee? Everybody
We do.
Yeah, but how come we don't?
There's a DC Breeze. You can use Breeze 50, get Papa John's 50% off.
How come I don't know about it? I mean, can you name a player? It's not caught on, is what I'm saying. It's such a cool game, and everyone likes playing it.
Actually, I think one of the listeners, Roger Yu, was the reason I knew we had a DC team. I was at his house one day.
He's talking right now.
He went
He's
Luka all the
agreeing
way.
with me on Luka.
We were talking getting Papa John's pizza, and he just typed in Wiz 50, Nats 50, Breeze 50, and I was like, what the heck is Breeze 50? He's like, oh, it's a DC Ultimate Frisbee team.
I don't think they travel a lot, though.
Yeah, I don't know. But they are good for getting 50% off Papa John's.
Okay. Papa John, send us a sponsorship.
I went with there's one called Bossa Ball.
What's Bossa Ball?
It's from Belgium. So it's basically, think of volleyball. but you're playing on trampoline.
Okay.
So you can hit it up to 8 times before you have to hit it over the net, but you're basically slamming the ball down at people as hard as you can.
I'm in. That sounds fun. I want to play.
Yeah. Concussions all over the place, I would imagine.
Yeah. When you get a question like that, I'm throwing the physical therapy side of my recommendations out and just talking about the fun stuff. But
The other one was shin kicking.
what's that?
Self-explanatory. You kick each other, alternate kicking each other in the shins until one person no longer wants to play.
The long-term effects on that would be bad, but you'd get super dense shins. Obviously, we know bones react to stress, so you get a lot of stress, you're going to get some big shin bones. Probably get a lot of stress fractures, too.
So, interesting little segue there. Next question we got was, should kids lift weights?
Sure.
So you're talking about stress in the bone. You got a premature bone. We're talking non-puberty. Bones haven't fully...
fused at the growth plates.
Correct.
There's nothing wrong with kids lifting weights. It's an interesting question. I think kids should just play. If a kid is actually interested in lifting weights, that's fine, and I think it's a healthy thing. They should do it. My worry is if we're saying kids should be lifting weights, where their parents pushing them to lift weights for sports-based things, I don't know if that's the right thing. But there was an old idea that it would affect growth in growth plates, which just isn't true. It doesn't have a negative effect on the growth plate.
Well, I think when you're talking lifting weights, I mean, there's not much reason that a 12, 13-year-old should be maxing out on a bench press or, like, doing shoulder press, like, lifting as much as they possibly can to try to bulk up.
I know. I mean, for similar reasons as adults, some people, that's their thing. They like to lift weights. And you're talking about 12, 13 now, we're going into puberty, and we're talking about sports-based things. They could have some benefit for working on their goals and performance.
Yeah, I think I would be a little bit uncomfortable having somebody without kind of fused growth plates and doing max lifting.
Why?
It's the same thing. Too much stress to the bone could alter a little bit of the bone structure as it's forming.
Yeah, I mean, we could go through the research and try to find out. I just don't see a lot of backing for that. I think if they want to do that, that's fine.
Now, things like TheraBand, light lifting, things like that to work on motor control, work on just little strengthening, working on activating muscle fibers. I think that's all fair game.
Yeah, I'm not saying that that you need to do it. I just say I don't really have a rationale for why it would be unsafe outside anything else being unsafe. But again, what's the goal there?
Right.
Maybe
exactly.
you got young football players and you want to start working on squats. I think it's okay, but 1 rep max, I don't know. Unless they're at 12 decided that they do want to be world's strongest man someday, start working on it. There's time, kids. You don't need to do it right now.
That's right. Another fun one: are racehorses athletes?
Since you brought it up, I've been thinking about this one. I really can't decide. Jockeys.
I had to clarify: are we talking about the racehorse or the jockey?
And the clarification was
The horse.
right. So the jockey is clearly an athlete, right?
Yeah, I would count him. I wouldn't say clearly is a good word to use.
Oh, I think they're doing a lot more than you think as far as steering the animal and the positions that they are on the horse and how they're moving around.
Well, that gets into the whole as a NASCAR driver and athlete.
I would say jockey
sitting in a car.
Jockey beats race car driver for sure.
Okay, I mean, that's a tough position to maintain.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of work that goes into it. But race car drivers, I think they might argue that they're doing some physical stuff too. The horse, I don't know. I'll say yeah, sure.
I would say yes.
These fine
How are
athletes.
they not animals can't be athletes?
Yeah, that's a semantics question, but sure.
So when you're cockfighting, you're picking the best chicken or whatever they're using, roosters. You're telling me you don't want the best athlete there? Those guys aren't athletes?
I just didn't.
Random
I
picking?
don't know if I'd use that word. That's not the word that would first come to mind. But sure, yeah, you've sold me on the case. They could be athletes.
All right. What else we got? Another question we got was related to, I'm assuming, baseball. I said, steroid era players in the Hall of Fame, should they be in or should they be out?
Let's just put them in. Let's have a section in the hall that's like that from those years.
We could put it right next to the Patriots championships.
For Deflategate stuff?
Deflategate, just everything. The what was the Spygate? Everything.
So
There's always some sort of asterisk with the Patriots.
So I mean, so you're weighing, are there different levels of cheating and how acceptable should it be? I'm for putting these guys in the Hall of Fame. I think it's crazy that Barry Bonds' name won't be in the Hall of Fame, even though he used steroids, but that was so pronounced throughout the league, and the league was allowing it to happen. I feel like we have let guys on steroids in. It's really like used as an excuse. I think for guys that are not well liked, like Barry doesn't get in, Rod Clemens doesn't get in. Did Ortiz use any performance enhancers? He was on that list, but we never found out what it was. Do you think he gets in? I think he absolutely gets in, but I think that's because he's well liked.
Yeah. Have you seen David Ortiz's head rookie year to what it is now?
I agree. I'm not disagreeing, but I think him and Manny Ramirez, very similar players playing on the same team at the same time. I think Manny doesn't get in. I think Ortiz does. Isn't that weird? You don't see that at all?
Yeah. I think there's a huge, I mean, I don't know. The guy like Barry Bonds, where he's getting like, in that year he hit, what, 73?
73, yeah.
So that year, I mean, he was getting walked an insane amount of times. He's maybe getting like 2 or 3 pitches in the strike zone to take.
Yeah.
And he's crushing them all out of the park.
Right.
I mean, steroids or no steroids, you have to be locked in. I think he's still the best hitter in that generation, regardless of whether he's on steroids or not.
Agreed. And you brought up, there's the question of, does steroids affect other things besides just muscle strength? There is some idea that, and there's some truth.
Reaction time's huge.
Reaction time, ability.
Ooh, you got your bird calling you.
Yep, bird call on my phone there. Sorry about that. Yeah, does it have other effects on basically improving motor control function, neurological functions?
So if caffeine, we know, improves reaction time, should we limit caffeine? Should you not be able to have any caffeine going into a baseball game?
I think some sports do. What is caffeine? I think caffeine's definitely legal in MLB, right?
MLB, it's legal in NFL. I don't think of anything that's illegal.
Right.
But it's a performance-enhancing supplement.
Well, then if you take protein and you build more muscle than 6 months before. The line is when we get to
we have
performance-enhancing drugs, I think.
Dr. Huebner on here commenting. He'll be on in a second. Says it's causing hair loss.
That's true. Too high levels of testosterone causes hair loss. Yeah, where do you draw the line? Looking at which supplements are safe versus not safe. And I think there's a long argument that steroids are very dangerous and deteriorous to our body. But you could talk to some physicians who are very well read in steroids and say, in the right environment, monitored, how dangerous is it really? I mean, look at Sly Stallone. He was doing steroids since 1970. He's in his 70s now and still looks like a fairly healthy, fit person. He's pretty ripped out there. I think if you got the money to take care of yourself.
I don't understand why there's this big deal about, like, people could care less, in my opinion, could care less about the safety of the players. I don't think it's like, hey, don't take steroids because that's really going to hurt you in a few years.
No, but the problem is if we allow the NFL players to do it, then the high school kids will do it too.
Sure,
it's about being a role model.
But you're looking at it from the medical health professional system. You're looking at these old guys that are saying baseball is such a classic, pure game, and now you're screwing it up with steroids, and it's not truly, you're giving people special powers, all this stuff.
Right.
I think it's ridiculous. If you can take something or you can do something to make your body better physically to play a game, why, as a viewer of sports, why would I not want to see that? It makes the game better. We've evolved so much. Like when Babe Ruth was playing, I'm sure they weren't doing the same amount of strength training. They're not getting the same nutrition. He had like a ladle of beer out in right field or left field so he could
ladle beer as he played baseball.
So you're telling me that the nutrition now is the same, like the world of fitness and nutrition has evolved so much.
But we I don't know where you want to draw it, and I really don't have a strong opinion of where it should be drawn. But you have to draw it somewhere. What are you gonna? So if you could do that, can we put bionic legs on me that make me be able to squat 200,000 pounds?
You're telling me as a viewer you would want to see that? That would be awesome.
It's not. You're right. There comes a point where it's watering down the sport. It does take away a level of the purity.
Sure.
I think we all have different opinions on where that sits. Yours obviously lies somewhere on the most extreme spectrum.
I'm just saying, if the reason is that it's not pure, that's fine. But it's not. I think that the main thing I'm trying to say is that the people saying that their steroids should not be allowed is not because they're concerned about the welfare of the players.
But I'll still say the point that it does trickle down to the welfare of our kids because they're going to do what their role models are doing. I still think that being such a good baseball fan and loving being a kid when Bonds and McGuire was doing all that stuff was so exciting. When McGuire hit 62, that was like one of the most defined. I know exactly where that ball landed. It was like over a sign with a K. Like I have a perfect memory of it. So to say, like, if I go to the Hall of Fame and I want to remember all my old memories and just not have it there, I think it's silly. You can put it in a different wing. Call it the steroid era. Don't
Yeah,
MLB's always trying to hide from things. They were trying to hide from the steroid era when we were in the steroid era, and they're still trying to hide from it now by saying it shouldn't be a part of their history, and it is. That's what the Hall of Fame is. It's a story of the history.
Yeah.
Coming out of this conversation, feel much more strong that they should be in than
we're both
going
saying they
into
should be in, but we're just saying for different reasons they should be in.
Agreed. But I'm saying, just talking through it with you now, I feel even stronger about it. It's silly that they're not in.
There's just so many substances now that once you start picking through every single, well, we should allow this, we shouldn't allow this. I mean, it's a gray area.
Yeah, I don't like that the media votes on it either. I don't like that they decide it. I feel like it's not the right outlet to be voting. The media didn't let T.O. in because he was mean to the media. Stupid.
Exactly. A lot of it depends on your image.
Right.
Barry Bonds was a bad media guy, and that's why they hated him. They portrayed him as this monster.
That's what I'm saying. That if you're not liked, Roger Clemens, same thing. Shouldn't be what it's about.
But maybe you're not liked because you have mood swings and your other issues that are causing you to act out.
I'm sure that is part of it.
Barry Bonds also bald.
Good-looking bald guy.
Good-looking bald guy. All right, so let's get my brother, Dr. Matt.
Oh,
Huebner.
We got them. We got them all the questions.
Keep sending in your questions. We got some other questions that we're gonna make for a longer topic. Zion Williamson was one of them. We're gonna go over landing mechanics, things like that, in the future. So let me get my brother on the line and we'll talk some hair.
Hello.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. So you're live. You're here with Will. I got Mark here.
You're on HSO.
Hey, Mark.
How's it going?
Awesome. You guys have a great podcast, man. I love listening to you guys. You guys are so knowledgeable about not only sports, but just physical therapy and just an amazing perspective on everything. So just very entertaining.
Awesome. Thank you. So we brought you on to talk about hair, of course. So you're a hair transplant surgeon, natural hair transplants.
Take us through
or natural transplants, sorry.
Take us through a little bit of what you do and just how you come to where you are in your profession.
Sure. So I started out my career as an emergency doctor. So I had nothing to do with hair, cosmetics, nothing. I was working traumas, knives, gunshots, everything, you name it. Did that for about 8 years and then just got sick of the whole hospital system, insurance, payer system, and wanted to change it up. So I had a friend of mine that was doing hair for a long time, and he trained me. I fell in love with it, and I've been doing hair transplants full time now for the last 6 years. And it's just a really hot field right now. It's just been really, really a cool ride to go on, and we're actually expanding. We actually have an office in Bethesda, Maryland now for the last 2 years, and it's just been exploding. And it's just it's amazing, how many people are now. It's just almost accepted in society to have a hair transplant. Many athletes, celebrity types have had it. People you see every day have had hair transplants. You probably don't even know it. So it's definitely a
Matt. Bethesda is
Yeah.
actually a local to a lot of our listeners. So could you just give us the name of your company again, so we can?
Yeah, it's called Natural Transplants. Naturaltransplants.com. And you can see we have over 700 videos on our website. You can see the whole process. It's very cool. And basically, what you're doing is taking your own hair, the hair that never falls out from the back of your head, and moving it to an area where you can use it better. So we're not, that's the nice thing. It's permanent hair. It grows, down to your ankles if you want it to, and it's just sort of a permanent solution for hair loss.
Matt, so take us through the process. I know, obviously, all the viewers, you have a ton of videos, which is awesome. So you get to see the kind of the consult initially. You kind of draw the hairline. You kind of talk to them about their goals. And then you take videos of them, like, on the actual surgery day. And then I think, like, a month out and 3 months out, 6 months out. You document it very well.
Right.
But talk about, so there's a small incision that you take from the back of the head.
Uh-huh.
And then what do you do with that?
Yeah, sure. So the basic concept is the same. So if you ever see a bald guy, you're going to notice that he's going to keep the hair, this horseshoe of hair on the side of the back. And that hair is not receptive to DHT, which is a byproduct of testosterone. So you never lose it. No one knows why. We don't know what the advantage is to keeping that hair. But this is the only reason that hair transplants work. So the concept is you either take a strip of hair from that area or you take multiple punch biopsies, more or less, punch incisions of that area, and you just simply move them to the top of the head. So it used to be back in the day, they were taking pencil eraser size hole or punches and it looked like Doll's hair is very unnatural, right? You've probably seen guys like this walking around where it's impossible not to notice how unnatural the hair is in the front. Looks like Doll's hair. So what kind of changed the game is the single hair graft. Now, single hairs, one by one, being implanted into the skin on top. So it really is hard to tell a hair transplant from natural hair, and most people can't tell. The cool thing about it is, you're awake for the procedure. It's a nice, enjoyable day. You're watching Amazon or watching Netflix, eating potato chips. I mean, it's an easy procedure to go through. No general anesthesia. The hardest part is you look like hell for about 2 weeks. So, most people are going to wear a hat or, baseball hat or some kind of head covering for 2 weeks, or just kind of be a hermit for 2 weeks. That's probably the hardest part of the whole thing. But it really is fun, and it's a really cool field to be in. I'm just grateful to fall into it at the right time. But it's interesting, how many athletes have had these procedures. In fact, I personally have done some celebrities. I've done some guys in the NBA.
Who do you think?
I'm not allowed to tell you who it is.
Yeah,
but,
you need to do one on LeBron James.
Yeah, is he in trouble? Like, what's going on?
It seems to recede every year.
Yeah, he actually looks better than he used to. I don't know if you've noticed.
No, it definitely goes back and forth. I'd say every year it's like it gets a little worse, then it starts growing back a little bit, then it starts getting a little worse and coming back a little bit.
So he had a bad. This just goes to show you have to do your research. It doesn't no matter how much money you have to do your research. You have, I'm sure LeBron isn't doing his own research on this, or he probably has some guy that picked this guy out. But there's a lot of guys, a lot of hacks out there, unfortunately. So he had this nasty scar in the back of his head. Not a very good result, and I think he had it touched up. Had another one basically. But the thing is, nobody ever talks about it. So if LeBron's never really openly come out and said he had one, or that's my knowledge anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's just he had a really bad hair transplant, but he is looking better. But part of it too is you continue to lose hair. Just because you had a transplant doesn't mean you're not losing more of your natural hair on top. So that may be what's going on with LeBron. He may look good for a little while, and then he's losing more hair. Maybe needs another touch up here and there. But yeah, it's definitely a very cool field to be in. It's funny you're talking about testosterone. There are a lot of some of these guys that are they were talking about are bald, like Barry Bonds. And again, whether it has to do with genetics, but steroids definitely accelerate hair loss, and we see that a lot in our clinic when people, especially here in South Florida where I'm located, you get a lot of guys that are on steroids, and that's when their hair starts falling out. So it is definitely a side effect of increasing the testosterone, and then as a byproduct, increasing your DHT. But yeah.
Matt, so you were on the Dr. Oz show,
Right.
and they did a whole segment on kind of, like you were saying, there's a lot of hacks out there.
Yep.
So tell us about, obviously you need to be a medical doctor to perform a surgery,
Right.
but what are the certifications? What kind of training do you need after that to do a hair transplant?
So absolutely nothing.
That's what's surprising. That was crazy.
Absolutely nothing. That's what's crazy.
So that's why there's a lot of hacks then.
There are a ton of hacks, and you literally could graduate medical school and do a hair transplant the next day. There's nothing legally preventing you from doing that. You can have an MD or DO behind your name. You are legally qualified to open up a hair transplant clinic anywhere in the world and take on clients. So that's what's scary. So you get a lot of guys that are maybe doing this on the side. They have medical devices that for hair transplants where they're sort of marketed as to doctors to sort of implement their income and revenue. And you take this weekend course, and now you can do hair transplants. It's a very complicated. You need a whole staff behind you that knows how to do this. And it unfortunately, there's a lot of variety in terms of there's no standard really, and there's no one going around checking anybody's work. It's just really on the Dr. Oz show we talked about it being the wild west of medicine. It really hasn't been regulated, and for that reason, you're going to see really good ones and you're going to see really horrible ones. Yep.
As a card-carrying member of the bald community, I can try to let you talk me into it a little bit. But do you ever get like any animosity or some terrible feelings when you do see a bald man who looks perfect, or like a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movie come out and you're like, screw that guy, I'm not seeing his movie?
So there are definitely guys that can pull off a bald head and embrace it. Usually it's not guys that look like you or I, Mark. Usually it's going to be a really big black guy, a bodybuilder, a guy with a beard, Usually, us white guys can't really pull it off too well, unfortunately.
Well, we got Statham, Vin Diesel, Bruce Willis.
Yeah, there's exceptions out there. Listen, there's exceptions out there. But listen, there are some guys, and I never ever, talk to guys. I have bald friends that I never even mentioned, hey, do you want to get a hair transplant? It's really something that there are some guys where it bothers them, and there really are guys that couldn't care less. They've embraced it. That's just, they really don't care. I'm not going to push somebody to do it if they don't want to do it. But there is, it's just there's some really cool technology coming down the line too in terms of technology. They're talking about cloning, where you could literally take one hair from the back of your head and in a laboratory, replicate it as many times as you need and get a full head of hair and implant it on afterwards. I mean, there's some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline in terms of hair loss. So, stay tuned. Each year that goes by, I think there'll be more and more options available to you if you're interested, Mark. But it's just it's a very positive field to be in, and I couldn't be happier. I
think I'm good right now. I'll tell you. I'll give you one example. Urlacher, way better bald. Way better.
Yep. So I met Urlacher. He was at the national meeting. Actually, he now works for, well, he doesn't work for, but he's now the spokesperson for a big doctor out of Chicago, and he does look great. But what people don't know with Urlacher is he actually had some hair before, but he would shave his head, right? So he actually had a moderate amount of hair in the central areas of his head, and no one ever talks about that. But so he wasn't completely bald, but he looks great. He really looks great. So he's a great example of how a hair transplant, when it's done right, can make a big difference in your appearance. Absolutely. Are
there certain people that for whatever reason it doesn't take? They do the hair transplant and it's not successful?
So you have to have, it's very rare. So the success rate is very high. It's probably over 90%. But there are some people that just aren't candidates. So, if you're a completely bald guy and you have a little, 2-finger width horseshoe in the back and you want a full head of hair, it's not going to happen, right? So you got to have the hair in the back. You got to have what's called a donor. Has to be there. It has to make sense. Mathematically, you have to have the follicles to get what you want. So a lot of it is also managing expectations and being real with people. You certainly wouldn't want to go through this if you didn't know what you were getting into. But yes, there are some patients that just they want a full head of hair. They don't have the hair in the back, and we politely say sorry. Maybe some cloning down the line would help you out. But yeah, definitely. I think Mark would be a candidate though, from what I've seen, if he was interested.
I'll get back to you. I'm feeling my look right now.
If he wouldn't have done so many steroids, he may have more hair.
Yeah,
he still has some hair in his head. Though. That's right.
Pec tears and hair loss.
As a bald member of the community, I mean, you're young, right? You're in your early 30s.
30, yeah, 33.
When did you start losing your hair?
I don't. That's a good question.
In your 20s, would you say?
Yeah, somewhere in my mid 20s, and then I just started.
So what was was there like a denial process, a grieving process? Like, what's the process when you start realizing you're
the biggest downside is just having less creativity. Like, you can go change your hair. I've got one look.
Well, now you're getting creative with the beard, no beard.
Yeah,
hair's still growing.
Mix stuff up.
The right place,
Matt, has anyone ever asked to have a hair transplant done anywhere besides the top of their head?
Yeah, absolutely. You can put hair anywhere; it'll grow as long as there's a blood supply.
What's like? Do you ever get a weird one, or is it just like a mustache?
Into another area besides the top of their head. I personally haven't done it, but I know people that have had transplants in other areas. And also inversely, people have had chest hair, body hair transplants as well, where they're taking hair from other body parts and putting it on their head. So it goes both ways. Yeah. We do beard and mustache transplants. We do eyebrow transplants.
Actually, I had to have Will ask for a patient of mine because he kept bugging me. He had radiation on his face. He was like, could you do a beard transplant if it doesn't grow back?
Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. We get people with scars. We get people that have had piercings and they have a big scar in their eyebrow. We put hair back in there. Just guys that can't connect their beard or it's very patchy. We fill those areas in. So absolutely, yeah. That's a very easy thing to do.
All right. Hair, not just for the head.
Exactly. But, yeah, it's cool. I think you're going to see more and more people and athletes and, just people in general having hair transplants. It's almost like a breast augmentation for women. This is what guys do. This is one of the only things they can do to really make a difference in their appearance, is getting their hairline back. So,
what do you think the status is on Tom Brady? He seems to get thicker every year.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely had a hair transplant. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no question. But the thing is, you're never going to have him talk about it, And it's one thing I've learned about celebrities is that they're super private about that kind of thing. So it's never going to come out. It's the only way you can do it is you look at old pictures, you look at old videos, and you put them side by side, and you say, hey, there's no way you can get your hairline back without a hair transplant. So absolutely.
I wonder why it's such a sensitive topic.
Okay. Yeah, he's doing okay. I don't think he really has anything to worry about. Even if he does lose his hair, I think he's set up pretty well. But
Agreed.
Yeah,
Brady, good-looking guy.
Good-looking guy, but it was nice to see the Ravens beat him the other night. That was very nice, Will. But yeah, man, it's thanks for having me on. Anyway, guys, it was really a pleasure. And if anybody ever wants to inquire about hair transplant, look us up.
Yeah, natural transplants.
Will do.
Tons of videos on the website.
I'll keep it in mind.
Awesome.
Thanks, Matt.
And keep up the good work. Keep up the good work, guys.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, thanks, Matt.
All right, you got it.
Beautiful.
All right, what do you think?
I'm still not sold,
What?
but I like that it's an option.
What's your biggest hesitancy? What's your
Just like what? Like what do you
Just
got to
not
mess
natural?
with? Yeah, what do you got to mess with
It's
stuff?
natural transplants?
That's a good sales pitch. Yeah, but I don't know why you got to mess with stuff.
Why do you think it's so like a sensitive topic to talk about? I got a hair transplant. I don't know. To me, it's just like, okay.
Yeah, that does
not a
seem
big deal.
silly. I don't know.
Weird hair in general. I wouldn't mind. I shaved the other day. It's not a big deal.
I agree. I look at the logistics. I wonder how much you can actually save on shaving products.
For the people that
Major industry.
Yeah. For the people that do look up my brother, Matt Huebner, so he has a huge head of hair. His nickname, he's a DJ as well, does a lot of musical instruments.
Yep.
Afro Matt is his DJ name. So he's got a thick head of hair.
You're pretty thick, too.
When he went on Dr. Oz, a lot of the comments on it were like, man, this guy's transplant doesn't look natural. What the heck? And it's like, he's never had a hair transplant. That's just his head of hair. But I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, so I'm still not going to be sold on it, but it's good to know that Matt's out there if I ever change my mind.
Yeah. Well, he's in Florida.
There's
one in Bethesda. Yeah.
It's right here. All right, bald guys out there, stand by us. Don't miss any of The Rock's movies. Hopefully Vin Diesel comes back. No discrimination against bald people.
That's right. They're wanted. If all of our viewers are bald, that would be
with us. If The Rock stopped getting roles, I think we would have some protest on that.
Right. You think he's on steroids?
Definitely, 100%. Yeah. I think he's admittedly on steroids. But on top of that, we all unite. There's a community behind this. That's why we were all so mad when the Urlacher thing changed.
I feel like he's a traitor.
Definitely, he's our Benedict Arnold without question. Honestly, I was shocked when I saw it.
But he was kind of like
viscerally affected when Urlacher jumped off. It
sounds like he was choosing to be on the ball team, though. I don't think you should be able to choose.
Yeah,
you're still in the hair field if you're actively choosing to shave your head.
We need more movies about fast cars and shooting guns at each other through cars. Vin Diesel, The Rock, Statham.
All right.
Good movies.
Email us more questions. We got a bunch of them. We're a little backed up on them. Will and Marks, HSO@gmail.com. They can be about sports. They can be about health. They can be about hair, whatever you want.
Opinions on hair?
If we don't know the answer, we're going to get an expert on here. So
we'll
pretty well connected in the medical field, so we'll find somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Yep.
If we're not sure.
Keep the questions coming.
Anything else?
Nope. That's good for tonight.
All right.
Over and out.